their countrymen, so this is God, I will raise up a prophet from among their countrymen like you, and I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to them all that I command him. It shall come about that whoever will not listen to my words, which he shall speak in my name, I myself will require it of him. But the prophet who speaks a word presumptuously in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or which he speaks in the name of other gods, that prophet shall die. So, he gives two criteria of a false prophet right there in the passage that Shabir quoted. Shabir appealed to Deuteronomy 18:18. Right there in Deuteronomy 18:20, just 2 verses later, we have two criteria of a false prophet. If he speaks a word that God didn't tell him to speak, and if he speaks in the names of other gods. Why is this relevant?
Here, we want to have you, because David went last.
Sure. Okay. David, I'm glad you referred to Deuteronomy chapter 18, because the criteria for a false prophet would seem to disprove both Jesus and Paul. Because one of the criteria is that if the prophet says something will happen and then that thing does not happen, then that was a false prophet. Now, Paul, in his letter to the Thessalonians, spoke as though he will be alive at the time when Jesus returns. That did not happen. So that's a false prediction. And I just mentioned that according to Raymond Brown, Jesus was expected to return within the lifetime of his disciples, and he did not. In fact, many scholars think that Jesus failed on this account. E.P. Sanders, in his book, The Historical Figure of Jesus, says that Jesus failed in this. So the Gospels have him predicting his return within the lifetime of his disciples, and he did not return. So that means, according to the Bible itself, Jesus would be a false prophet. The only thing that rescues Jesus from being a false prophet is Muslim belief in him for Muslims from the Quran itself. Then we can believe that he's a true prophet.
David.